with teachers here at Lucama Elementary School about their experience with advanced teaching roles. I, as you already know, I'm liaison with SNC, and I'm just going to facilitate this conversation, but this is an opportunity for you all to ask questions about how these models are working, decisions that they're making throughout the day about how to structure their work. So I will start with asking you all, teachers, to introduce yourselves, tell us your role, what grade levels you're working with, et cetera.
I am Brooke Ellis. I am a regular classroom teacher. I teach 5th grade. This is my 2nd year in 5th grade. I've taught for a total of, this is my 10th year teaching. So I did 3rd grade for about 6.5 years. I did intervention for a year and a half and then went back into the classroom, and I currently do 5th grade.
I'm Ashley Sullivan. I worked last year with kindergarten only as a full release NCL. This year I'm with kindergarten and 1st grade. It's my 2nd year at Lucama, and
I'm Laura Pittman. This is my 23rd year in teaching, and I'm a 4th, 5th NCL. I taught 5th grade last year and did partial release.
I'm Macey Williams, my 25th year teaching. I've been at Lucama for 20 of those 25 years. I taught 1st grade for 9 years, 3rd grade for a year. I did a lot of my time in 5th grade walking for math and science. My 3rd year in 5th grade, and I'm a MTRT master teacher.
Beverly, Dawson. I teach 3rd grade, partial release, 1st grade and 3rd grade. Last year, I was a child, so usually being in this.
Thank y'all. So we'll just open up the panel just to tell us, we know a little bit about your roles, but tell us kind of who you're working with, what you're leading, and what your experiences thus far, sort of your personal perspective on these roles that you're in, and how you're enjoying or not enjoying them, what the challenges are. Anyone can start.
So I was 4th, 5th, partial release NCL last year, which was a little more difficult with time constraints. This year I am 4th, 5th, full release, and so I'm able to coach the teachers. We plan a lot. I'm in PLCs, I lead those. We have different types of coaching where I'm going in and modeling or working with teachers individually, setting action steps, and then working with groups of children that are specifically targeted based on data that we talk about in our PLCs.
I am partial release this year, so I'm in the teaching program. Kind of my college struggle is my reaches as you get to but I have to set really clear routines in my classroom before I was able to go out to like 8th grade. And that's kind of the one where I don't feel like I'm doing as much with 2nd grade right now, except for PLCs and things like that. But it's more about trying to get the routines and procedures in my room layout before. And for my MTRT position, I had a reach associate who fills in for me whenever I get out of the I'm the MTRT and coaching for math specifically for 4th grade and 5th grade whenever it's needed. Actually, Laura was coaching me for ELA since I have a foundation in math and science at Dawson, so she's coaching me as well as me coaching for math. But predominantly, I'm working with 4th grade math. And we have a new teacher, so I'm doing a lot with her to kind of bring her along with the new teacher.
my role is much like what Laura explained her role to be right now. I'm full release, so I work with kindergarten, 1st grade teachers. We have teachers that are new to the grade level, to the school, and beginning teachers. So I provide a lot of support for that. Just coaching cycles and pulling their kids, targeting, planning, and kind of tracking how kids are responding to instruction, and then making adjustments to instruction as we need to, and really providing breaking down data days or PLC time.
My perspective is a little different because I'm the teacher, so I work a lot with Laura, since, I'm fifth grade and she's assigned to fifth grade. So for me, there's not a lot of challenges that I experience, because I'm very lucky to have her. She's in our planning almost daily. So she's always helping us plan as a grade level, and then, she's leading our PLCs. We discuss data, all the time, it seems like. And that's how all of our planning is done through data. She leads our data days where we have a full day to break down data, really talk about specific standards, that we had, on like a benchmark assessment or any type of assessment. And then, she helps us to then plan for what we're going to do immediately to fix the gaps that were in some of those standards that, the students were not proficient in. So to me, there's really no challenges that I have, other than the fact that sometimes I, wish she had more time to come in, to our rooms and stuff. But I think it's a great experience.
What are the strengths of advanced teaching roles that you see as teachers? And what is the leadership opportunity meant for you all in your careers?
Well, one thing is that allows us to reach more students. Us working together as a team, we all have that same goal, but it's not my kids in our room, but it's it kind of bridged like our school, most elementary schools are very K2, 3, 5. And since we have a 2-3 position, I feel like we're kind of crossing paths, so it's not so much primary upward anymore. It's kind of mixed. And it does become, well, these second graders are coming to third grade, and these third graders are coming to fourth grade, so it's just all very intertwined.
Yeah, there's a lot of vertical alignment, and then we meet as an XC team as well. So share what's going on in all those grade bands. And it is all about the kids and all about their data. So that's what all the discussions are around.
Sounds powerful too, like when we have our OC meetings, we kind of build a common language or common goal that we want, and so it's K5, one all the way across. We're not, like they were saying, not in bands of 3-5, just doing this, K2. It's really school-wide. And another thing is that we really do like tiered, like how we help our teachers is tiered, how we built our program for our school is tiered, what we needed, the areas needed based off that from the year before. So I think that was really good that we tried to target exactly what we felt you needed. So.
I love that none of you talked about yourselves. You talked about your focus on the kids, now it's helping the school. Talk about you as a teacher. How's it felt to be in a leadership role? Was it daunting at first? How's it felt? How have you received the role? Talk about it.
Was a school coach at the school previously, and then I went back to class. I feel like there is some pressure because I feel like I am going to try to lead other people and like I really need to be on top of my game and that kind of stuff, but I don't know that necessarily I really feel like much has changed because I work with a really good team. And so even second and third grade team, we all work really well together. I feel like it hasn't been, it's nice to be recognized. Hey, you've been doing a really good job. Like to be off this and kind of stuff. But I kind of feel like a lot of us would be doing it, are doing it anyway. I think that's the culture of the company anyway. A lot of the things that we're doing, we have done, it's just over.
Question for the teacher.
What's your favorite part of what you do every day, and then the reverse of that?
My favorite part is working with students. And really like breaking down the data and just seeing the growth when you can, I just love growth. Even when I was just in a classroom solely, seeing where they're starting and seeing where they end, that hands down my favorite part. But also getting to see growth with teachers specifically because I'm working with 2 new teachers this year. So just seeing their growth as well, and seeing how, far they can come this year, and as far as like the students, how far they can come.
The biggest challenge of it is the time. And I don't think any of us feel like we have the time to do those and children. So we're mostly, we're trying to focus on the children. We had to come out on Saturdays sometimes with some of them. That's not enough time in the day. I hate to leave my class and go to another teacher's class and coach her, that's part of our job. And I feel very confident, my class is RA, but all of us value our time with our class. I think one of my favorite things is I feel very stretched in a good way. So I get to talk to Macey and Laura and Ashley, and we get to talk about like K-5 stuff. So even though I'm in third grade, I hear what's happening in fourth grade, what's happening in fifth grade, and it makes me stretch to say, oh, what if I just said some of these things in third grade? Would it help these kids when they get to fourth and fifth grade? And I think Ashley feels the same way, like I think we've all grown because we do communicate so much about.
Really enjoyed learning this position. Like it's a new dynamic of being in the education field, and I feel like in comparison to having a class, it's much like the same, and you still have to build the relationships with the adults right off the bat, just like you would kids, and then even differentiating how you respond to each adult. So it's like it's been fun for me to apply how I would do things with kids, but with adults, just working with them closely and targeting their needs and stuff. So I've really enjoyed, and then the kids too, because I know the first week that I was out of the classroom, like in this position, it was like, I was like, where are my people? Like, like you just don't have the people, I missed that part. And then I started pulling groups again, and it was like, just the kids are, it's really impactful to have them to do both, to work with the teachers in that capacity, but still have little people at your table who do those things.
I love, as being a classroom teacher, having the extra support for myself and my students. So having Laura pull groups for me or pull individual students, that to me is like invaluable because, she has been here, out in Lucama, and I've taught with her for a long time. So I know that she knows what she's doing, and I know that she cares about, those kids just as if they were in her own classroom. So I love just having somebody that I don't have to, like worry what they're doing while they're not in my classroom under my watch. I know she is working them just as hard as, they would work, probably harder than they would be in my room. So I just love having that. I don't have to worry about, when they leave my room, I know they are getting what they need. And that to me is just great as a teacher, to have somebody that I can trust and support. Because it comes our kids, not my kids. I like to think of them as my kids, but they're all of our kids, and they really treat them as if they're in their classroom.
I know we all trust each other. There's many words. And so I think that's do all the trust.
And Brooke's right, it does become more of a culture of our kids instead of this is my class, it's our kids and what's working over here, we want to try over here. And we want to make all kids successful, not just, in one room.
How did you build that trust? Going back to that point.
A lot of us have worked together for a while.
I would say, like, as a teacher, seeing like, 3 out of the 4 have been here, the whole time, pretty much since I was here. So I know that like these teachers knew what they were talking about. They worked harder than, anybody else, and this proved themselves to me because they'd already done that. So it was not a hard thing for me to put my trust in them because they'd already walked the walk. They'd been in a position where they had already proven themselves. So I did not have to like kind of develop that trust. It was already there.
Yeah, I worked with the 5th grade team. I had worked with them in 3rd grade and in 5th. So we'd already worked together a lot. And then when I worked with Macey before, 1 year before she went down to 4th. And so we just had those relationships already. It was just a different type of relationship a little bit. Ashley's the new one, so
how I kind of defined was, of course, I was building relationships, but we a lot like going back to that, letting that speak. So if we had common assessments or making our retooling groups, whatever teacher had like the strongest outcome of how the students responded to their instruction based on how their assessments turned out, was how we picked who was gonna pull that group. So it wasn't, just let that speak for itself. And that was kind of just the proof, that we went with. Because I was developing relationships and everybody is strong teachers, but, you don't know who's good at what yet. And so we just tracked it out and made our groups and teachers.
And with our plan this year, implementation of the coaching is based on performance of the teachers. So the level of coaching they're getting has been based on their previous scores and what they've done previously. So some would need more support, getting more support, and wants to need less, or need less.
How have the other teachers received the coaching? This is a different model. They're maybe not as used to having someone in their room all the time. Like, how has that been received on the other end of the
I think it's been pretty good. I mean, I think now that they know and understand OC, I think that was a big part of it. April made sure at the beginning of the year to like clearly define the OC roles and like what we were actually here for and here to do. And it's not a like gotcha thing. It's I'm here to support you and help you. And in the end, it's all about the kids and the data is what we follow. Nothing's personal. It's all about who's performing, what can we do to help those who aren't. And we're all on the same team. So
Well, and I feel like there's always kind of a negative mindset of a coach is coming in my. It's very interesting because the other day I pulled a group of children to my room, and one of the kids said, and I was like, no, that's absolutely not why you're back there. I want to hear what you're thinking. I want to know what's going on. And you don't talk as much in the big crowd, so I need you just to think so we can talk. And so even like a child thinks that coming to the back table is a bad thing. So teachers, usually think if you're providing them some support, oh, we're already off kind of thing. And so I think because we have been super clear on everybody here is doing a great job, but we're really good at math. Why wouldn't I come to you and say, help me, I need some support? You're really good in reading, like taught third grade reading. This is only my second year in testing grade at this school. And so I really am going to go to the people who have been successful and say, please help me. And I think as long as everybody keeps that mindset of I'm just trying to get better for my kids, for our school, not because I'm doing something wrong, then it makes it very easy. But as soon as it becomes, well, you didn't do this, and I saw you didn't do this, that's when it starts getting real sticky. But as long as you keep it, your data says that half of your class got this. What are we going to do for the rest of the class? And it's not about what you do. I think it's the way we have conversations.
I agree with that, and I think a lot of it has to do with the data. Like if you present the data and you're looking at the data, you can't really argue with that, and it's not, they never present it as, well, obviously you didn't teach this right because your scores are terrible. It's okay, like this, they did not perform very well on this. What can we pull to, retool with? What can we do to fix this? What's another strategy you can use? So it's based on the data, not personally, telling a teacher that they're doing something wrong.
I think all in the wording is, I'm new to the coaching thing, so I'm learning how to be an effective coach. And so I think a lot of times not pinpointing like you did this, it's asking them questions and they make their own action step. They saw the difference between like what, you say, how are your kids responding? And you take it off of them and you let them decide, where can I make this more effective or something like that. It gives them the power to kind of to maneuver. And then there's the ownership piece of that too. Like they identified the action step. And so it's more power for them to follow it and, making them feel like you telling them, they tell you, and then you kind of build from there. Okay, well, what steps do we need to get there to see that goal reached, or even practicing it together? Really, that piece I feel like.
And this is year 2 for y'all. So go back to year 1. You've got a well-oiled machine now. So go back to year 1, talk about some of the pushback you had when you got started.
I definitely did, because I was new.
We did have some pushback, but I also think it wasn't as clearly defined from the beginning, and I think some people that had like some misconceptions about you know, what OC was, it was brand new to the county. You know, what the roles were. Ashley was brand new and, you know, was she coming in telling us? You know, I do think it was different. This year, it was, like I said, April really, she did last year too, during the year, but this year from the start, it was laid out that, you know, tiered coaching, and this is what their responsibilities are, and this is what they're here for, and it, when it comes down to it, it's just, it comes back, everything comes back to the kids, you know, you can't, and like they said, you can't argue with data. So, I just think introducing it to the staff and making sure that they understand is a huge part of it.
You have to build the culture.
Yeah.
At your school of understanding that this isn't a negative.
Yeah, and the consistency. So like, even when there is pushback, you don't, you know, kind of run, you just keep going, like, this is the plan, and we're staying on track with the plan.
And we have a large handful of brand new teachers. And they've been very grateful that there's somebody that's experienced and in a leadership position that has proven that we walk what we talk. And they have somebody to go to when they have this question. And I'm very appreciative of having this position.
Do you think it made a difference that in year two, everybody was reached, like all grade levels were served, and that made a difference in sort of the culture of like, everybody's getting some coaching, this is just a thing we do here?
I do, because it was consistent language across the school. And it also, with us, when we're meeting, we have, we're meeting about the feedback and the results, the data, and then we're taking it back, and it's just consistent across the whole school.
So I think I saw three. Well, we're all doing amazing things with kids. My question for you is, do you feel like you're building capacity? You talked about a handful of early career teachers. Do you feel like you're increasing the capacity of those teachers through this work, or in some ways there was a little bit of, she's great, she does those groupings for me. Where's the pendulum where you are now? Is it great, you're going to do these things for me, or great, I'm learning how to do things for myself? Where would you kind of put yourself on that?
I feel like this model makes it where they are. When I coached at this school without this model, it was very much just stay Beverly. She'll do it for you, just stay Beverly. And at one point, I was doing all the interviews. They were helping, but I did it all. I did it all. And so then Ashley came in, and it was no longer just stay Beverly. Ashley had a format that she followed, and it was, what are we going to do? What do you think you should do next? And so when you change your language and that kind of thing, and there's more of like a clear, I mean, we had coaching, what is it called, agenda, side, yeah. It becomes more intentional. And just let me do what I can fix it, and I can get it all done. Now, I want you to be able to do what I did. If I do it all, be able to do any of it. And I'm gonna possibly leave and go somewhere else. What are you gonna do?
To that. Make sure it's clear that when you all are pulling groups, your team teachers have groups too. They're just pulling a group of a certain skill that they are an expert at. So when you go to Ashley's room and you see kids, that all the kindergarten teachers, instructional assistants, and tutors have a group also. So it's not like one group being isolated. It's a sacred time when everybody is responsible for a subgroup of students.
Right. And I think that's where the coaching model comes in also, because like as Laura is pulling a group, our new teacher that's in 4th grade, she's pulling groups also, and Laura has gone in and modeled for her how. But it's not always pulling those kids out. Sometimes it's push in and see what you can model, what you can show, so that new teacher can grow.
Well, and that's, I was gonna say that too, was if we pull the groups, having them like, come watch me with your kids, or let me go in your room with your kids. Because, you know, a lot of times, especially newer teachers are like, my kids, they won't sit still, they won't Yes, they will, like, let me model, a lot of modeling, so what you see me doing, I can do for them and will do for them there as well.
There's a lot of them observing us observing them and modeling those. Reflection.
Yeah. And it's a lot of, like, April was talking about when we're planning and having those PLC meetings based on data and, deciding what groups to pull and how to remediate those groups or push them forward. We're not just pulling the only group, we're pulling a targeted group. They're also pulling a targeted group. There might be someone else pulling a targeted group, but the kids are being hit specifically and we're like leading that, grouping of kids, but, yeah, we're not the only ones pulling it.
Dr. Wilson spoke earlier about by design, these are career promotional opportunities, and also reflect that how learning to be a leader. We're having these conversations in Raleigh about it. All the pathways. And the goal will either just, we can just give a stipend and it's just there's a lot of this. Think to why it's so important that these are new roles and these are new promotions, that these are moving into a new role and not doing a one-time kind of one-year stint. Can you speak to that sort of that the difference between those two roles?
Like the difference between like traditional coaching kind of thing, or like like the difference you're saying like between like traditional coaching piece or.
Yeah, and sort of the thought of you're 1 year in that position, and the next year might be back in the classroom. The fact that you kind of know that this is a career opportunity for you to move into a role and you're expecting it to be multiple years. Versus, I think some of the things we'll just give teachers a bonus and then they quite understand this is an actual promotion, right? An actual position.
I think the hiring process too really kind of defines the difference between the two. That it was, there were standards already set that had to be met before you were even, able to be in a position like this. We had to have how many years of exceeded growth. So we were already teachers that had exceeded growth at some point in our career. So I think that kind of helps the dynamic of, we're going to reach more and we're going to use some of the things that we've seen work and that we've done.
And I think this program gives us opportunities, like I'm on the end of my career for teaching, only a few years left, and instead of me going back and going to administration and taking that step into leadership, it's given me a way to have a leadership role and still be with kids, do leadership, and not have to extend into more master's classes.
I agree with Macey. It's like that middle ground. I don't want any part of administration. I wouldn't want this job. But I do like this job because you do get to work with, it's a blend. Yeah, you get to work with teachers and you get to work with kids still and get to do what you love. So I like that.
And it's very good. I think it's a great job.
I have no desire to administration. But it's nice to be able to have some leadership skills and get to use them without.
It's amazing how they get good at the administrators, but they're getting out together. Right. Every decision that I make with you all, they're at the table. They don't have to be our
Ellis, I'm curious, is this something that you, like, OC role, is that advanced teacher role, is that something that you might aspire to do?
I'm really not sure yet. So I, did intervention for a little bit. I know that's a different role, but my heart is just being in the classroom all day long. That's, I think that's just where I'm supposed to be right now. So, maybe one day I might could see that, but for now, I love the role that I'm in. I think I still have a job to do with, my fifth graders, and maybe one day I would want to go into a position like that, but not yet. I like having the support right now.
Can you speak to the planning, like planning instruction with teachers? how much of your time is spent doing that? And what does it look like?
Would you like to know about the time that we like 7:30 to 3:30, or the time that we do it?
Whatever.
So, the third grade team, we, always work together. But we plan together all the time. There's a lot of things where I kind of plan reading, but we all plan together. And then we have another teammate who plans math, and another teammate. Everybody did all that. But talking about who's grabbing that and please, how do you need to get it? And because we talk and think about it, this little idea that one of us had grows into something much better than this one little thing. And then with second grade, I've done some planning with second grade here at PLC. And I think it's helping second grade kind of expand a little bit, because instead of just getting those second grade standards, they're kind of growing a little bit more and trying to use the language. Even talking with Macey, and one of my teammates came from her, and so we were actually talking about that. She said it's just crazy to jump between third grade and fourth grade. And one of the terms she uses like categorical data and all that other stuff. Now I'm like, tell me more, tell me more. So that I can start saying that kind of stuff while we're planning. And I don't know, I think because we all collaborate, there is not time during the day to do it. We do it
There's not time for the days.
plan with each other.
Okay, so you're meeting after school to plan?
Or on the weekends. We have to put 45 minutes and time during the day. Usually there's not scheduled meeting or a PLC will go over data. We're usually together planning in a room, and then after school we're planning, but the time for about 5 o'clock. And then on the weekends, I know what me and me and my teammate is constant text back. This weekend, I found this, we'll put this in the plan.
But you're playing with each other, but are you with teachers?
During the day when we have our planning time.
So plenty of time is used to plan,
Not always.
when it can be.
When it can be,
It gets started, but it's only 45 minutes.
So your PLCs are full.
Those are 45 minutes off. That's on Thursday. Tuesday, Thursday, but, like our PLCs are on Thursday, so that's 45 minutes, but the other days are for planning. So we get started, we do a lot of, this is what the standard is, this is what we want to cover, these are some things I found, a lot of collaboration then, and then, we go put it together and then come back together and we meet again, and talk about what can we add here, what's gonna happen here. You know, kind of predict what the kid, how the kids are gonna respond to certain things.
You do that with the teachers.
Yeah, with the teachers.
So it sounds like, I just wanna, you all make almost like a skeleton plan. You sit down with the teachers and work it out, talk about the difficulties in delivery and stuff.
Yeah. And with the new teachers, it's a lot of laying out the content, like what's expected, what the end result is supposed to look like. So this is how you need to tailor your teaching, really bringing it back to the standard.
Looks pretty different, because I have a teacher that's transitioned from pre-K to kindergarten, and then one that is, well, and the other two are BTs. So we actually spent a lot of our planning time initially just unpacking the standard. Learning the, we do learning focus, so learning just the concept of kind of like planning backwards, and in mind, like where do we want to, then to finish, so a lot of it's just we're there, right? And so me and the other teacher that have been here, the other teachers taught for years in kindergarten. I feel like we implement more the ideas, completely receptive to feedback from if they have input that they want to add to other, again, teachers, but, I printed out all the unpacking on paper, because technology's great, but, you know, having a notebook to go through, we really just look through the standard and kind of figure out what do we need to teach before we even try to figure out how we're going to teach it.
And I do think the time constraint is an issue, because I said, when Laura and I are together with, the fourth grade teacher, she's brand new, and our time together is spent a lot planning, going over the plan, but when her and I are together, and Laura's not there, it's, this is how you teach this, this is what the skill is, this is the misconceptions that they're gonna come with, so go ahead and address these, and it's more the coaching part of the teaching part.
question for Brooke. So your point you are in your career can be pretty reflective about your practice. What did these ladies do? What part of their job has helped you forward as a teacher most? 'Cause they do a lot of stuff, a lot of it. So what part of their job has helped you forward?
Well, first of all, I think the biggest part for me was already trusting them, already knowing them that they are great teachers. And I didn't have to, really think like, do they know what they're talking about? I know they know what they're talking about. And I think I work mostly with Laura. She has really helped me looking specifically, like, as far as like, we can go into that data and really specific standards. And then we look at that standard, we look at like, what types of questions were they? And that's something we do on our day-to-day. And I don't think as a teacher, I had really, until like last year, I had never really reflected that specifically on certain skills and questions like I did then when we did our day-to-days last year. And she's really like come in and like help us to think about, okay, what types of, like, it might be a certain standard, but there might be like a wording of a certain question that these students are not getting. So like, how can we help them understand the language of the question? And again, it's not about, even if I do have 10 years of experience, it's not about me, it's about the kids. So whatever she can help me to then help the kids, that's my job. So she's also always presented it she's never, come to any of the teachers and acted like, we were doing anything wrong. It's how can we just make it better? Our scores might be good, but how can we make them better? And she's always had high expectations, not only as a classroom teacher that I've seen, she has high expectations, I think, for all of us that she works with too. So it's not that she is ever telling us we're, not doing something right, or we don't know what we're doing. It's how can, like, we're great, but how can we make it a little bit better? Or our scores, for this assessment might be good, but what about these two that, they didn't get it? Let's not just brush over them. Like, how can we retool them and to, get them up to be proficient as well?
Parallel question for Laura then. So how might that answer have differed if it was a beginning teacher? What do you feel like your beginning teachers value most out of planning and data work and all the different things? What do you think the beginning teachers value most?
I think beginning teachers kind of eat it all up. Because it is their first year and just learning to plan, learning to how much you have to, we talked about this yesterday, Ashley and I, how much you have to break stuff down. I think that's something that you don't understand until you get in the classroom. Like I was explaining how to set expectations for group time. You have to model. How's the group gonna go back to the table? How are they gonna go back to their seats? What their seat's gonna be doing? And they have to have those preset expectations. So just stuff that Brooke would already know because she's been through that. Those are the types of things I don't have to worry about with her, whereas new teachers, breaking it down into like little bite-sized action steps and saying, okay, this is what we're gonna work on this week. And I don't think they realize in the beginning how much you have to break it down and model. Yeah,
But any other classroom breaking down what we need to have, this is where this needs to be placed, this is how students need to be faced.
yeah. So and then how much modeling they have to do for their students and expectations and just being consistent and, but those are things that with Brooke, we don't have those conversations. We have more of the conversations of this child isn't getting this. What can I do to help this child? What are some things we can do to help this child? Do we need to screen this child? Can we pull him extra? What kind of group can we put him in? We got back these test results. This group of children isn't getting this particular part. What are we gonna do about that group? Those are the types of questions we have or types of conversations I have with Brooke versus a new teacher.
Other questions for our teachers? Okay, I have one final question before we let you go. Thank y'all for your time. If you could give other districts or schools advice about implementing, designing advanced teaching roles, what would it be?
I think you have to very clearly lay out what your plan is going to look like and why you're doing it. I think as long as the whole school is sharing in the same vision, it will work. But I think if you have, like, some people are not all in, it's not gonna work. It's kind of,
I think you have to be very deliberate with your planning to make sure that there's accessibility, that or if it's come to me, there's a time built per schedule where she can come and coach in my written model. If I need to go somewhere else, it has to be very deliberate planning and scheduling throughout the whole school to make it available.
Yeah, the master schedule. We went through that at the end of last year and made sure, of course, it's never gonna be perfect. But we did go through that to make sure that our jobs, when, it lined up with the grade levels we're coaching, so they don't both have, conflicting times of when we need to be in their rooms.
I know, last year, a lot of times we had said that even Laura and I being full release, we wish we had a chance to like meet and bounce ideas off each other. And, so this year actually provide us, days out of the year to meet with the OC teams in the whole county. And so that's been really nice because there's like somebody at another school that has the exact same position as me. And so we kind of bounce ideas off of each other. And I know at one point he was like, we gotta get here, like the rigor part. And I was like, well, what about the project management part? And so we really like had a really good conversation about really supporting the beginning teachers. And I feel like we both left with like new ideas and stuff. So that was really good. I think implementing something, having that opportunity to meet with other people, because even though we've been in teaching, we haven't been in this position. So just having that support. is really good.
I would just say, there could always be more time, for planning and stuff, but I feel like that's just teaching in general, we never have enough time. So I would love to have more time, with planning with Laura and stuff. I mean, we use our time to the max that we can. So, I mean, I think that's just the general problem that I think all teachers face.
maybe this is just like a little plug, that maybe we could have like. That after data comes in, we do have time to reflect on it. Because it's nice that we get to sit down and take a day where we can break down our data, but during that time, somebody else. And it would be nice if I wouldn't also shut that up. While
Well, that's a local decision.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, can we give these teachers a round of applause?